good.
Thanks, mate. Thanks. Been working
It
out.
actually suits you.
The Vipers or
The Vipers, everything. Like you've got the haircut. Like
Well,
the
the mullet
Vipers.
helps. Why
Yeah.
don't you grow a mullet?
I don't know. Just a lot of commitment, a lot of effort. Then I get like annoyed with haircuts,
Well, you get less if you
if you
Okay.
just leave it. Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't know. I got this haircut.
When was the last time you had long hair?
Oh,
Like long hair.
long hair. Like how long are we talking?
Like this length. This is long to me because this is the longest I've had it in 15 years.
15 years.
15 years.
So
When
you're
I was
18.
No. Shit, no. 17 years. When I was 15, I was like, I'm joining the army, so I got to like grow it out now. So I had like a mop.
Sick. Yeah, I can't imagine you with a haircut like that.
I could show you school photos. It's pretty. I should do that
Yeah.
actually. But because you can see here it curls,
Yeah.
so I was curling on the end, and so because of that, like it would get. Yeah, it was really shit. And then one day my sister straightened it for me, and then I looked like a mad emo. And then everyone's like, "You okay?" I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah,
I'm alright.
sick.
But yeah, so maybe we should start off with some introductions. Oldest first.
Yeah, I am the oldest by 6 months, 7
Yeah,
months. Yeah,
6,
my
7
name's
months.
my name's Josh. I try my best.
I have a shirt that says that. I should have worn it for this specific.
I'm not really sure what there is to say about.
What do you do for work, Josh?
I own my own business. I'm a dog trainer. How long I do that for, God only knows.
Are you married?
I am married. Yes, that's probably the highlight of my life. Is my wife.
Yeah, she's pretty cool. I've met her. She's alright. Yeah. Anything else going on with her? Is she alright? She's just chilling?
Yeah, she's currently 31 weeks pregnant.
Oh, holy
so-
dooly. There we go.
Yep. So I am about to launch into fatherhood.
How do you feel about that?
Mixed feelings, really. Like, obviously, there's the anxiety, apprehension of like a life-changing event like being a father, because I haven't been one before.
It would be strange if you had and weren't anymore.
That's right.
That would be an interesting situation.
Or sad if you think about it. But yeah, it's
confusing.
anxiety provoking because added responsibility, unlike anything that you've ever really come across before. But also it's exciting because hopefully he will be a better footballer than me.
That's not harder, from what I've been told.
Mate, they didn't call me the junkyard dog for nothing. You go down to Graham Road and you ask anyone.
Well, if we've got any listeners from the Graham Road area,
Or the Aspley Football Club.
the Aspley Football Club, if we've got any listeners from the Aspley
Mate,
Football
go
Club,
down, get yourself a counter meal, go into the area where the TAB is, where people waste their life away in there.
yes,
And on the honour board, mixed in amongst other people that have actually played AFL football, is my name on the honour board as a club captain.
that's pretty impressive.
So the most, what would it be? Like, what would you say?
I have no idea.
Uninspiring name
Oh.
on the board.
Josh Edwards.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
But I'm still there.
Hey,
Still there.
it's fair. 1 year as captain, or do you get a couple years?
There were a few years, but like when
That's pretty good.
if you're a club captain, like it's back then it was, you're under 16 year. So
Mhm.
if you're the under 16 Div 1 captain, then you're the captain of the junior club.
Yeah.
And then it goes up to,
That's big responsibility.
17s, 18s. But I was the captain in 18s as well. 17
Nice.
and 18.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
And then, since then I haven't really done anything around leadership. Like I joined the army and that sort of taught me how not to be a leader.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just averse to it now.
And then you're like, have a baby, and you'll be like, I have to be the leader of this child, and he's got big boots to fill if he wants to be the captain
That's right.
of the Aspley Football Club.
If he wants to be the junior junkyard dog,
yeah,
then he's got some boots to fill.
He's
He's
not
got a
even-
collar to fill.
he's not even born yet, and he's got a lot of pressure on his shoulders. How do you think he will deal with that as a 31-year-old?
Well, if he's anything like as a 1 year old.
Yeah, it was a 31-week-old.
Yeah,
That's
true.
currently how old he is.
Well, if he was anything like me, he will be completely averse to the things that my father found joy in. And it's not to say that I didn't love my dad. It's just everything that he enjoyed when I was a kid was fucking boring.
That's
So
fair.
cars.
That's fair. Well, it's interesting.
You love
You
cars.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. That's an interesting one.
Because he's like, come out and help me with the cars. And I was like, I would rather eat the dog shit.
You know, interestingly, I remember very specifically when I was about 15 helping my dad and his mate, Nigel Hodge, change fifth gear in our old Nissan Patrol Blue Ute that someone had scratched fuckwit in. Before we owned it. So Dad wasn't the fuckwit. They keyed it.
He owned that car?
Dad did, yeah.
He didn't even get it buffed out?
I think he bought the car for $800. So no, it was a runner, like it was a country runaround.
Fuckwit.
Yeah, fuckwit. Someone had scratched fuckwit in it. And I always made sure I pointed it out at 15 because obviously that's hilarious. And then I helped Nigel change fifth gear. We like dropped the gearbox and opened it up, and I was like, I want to be a bloody mechanic.
Far out, man.
And then I never pursued that whatsoever.
Thank fuck that you didn't.
I think about it now. I was like a 32-year-old. I'm like, maybe I should go back.
No way, man. Your body would be fucked.
I got offered an apprenticeship at Vader's, which is the...
In Vegas?
Vader's.
Oh.
It's a family. So in the country town of Saddleworth, the Vader's were basically the whole
Vader's?
Vader's. Vaters. Vader's.
Oh.
I might be pronouncing it incorrectly, but yes, Vader's.
So close to Vader.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so they had a local like farming supplies store where you could buy tractors and all that sort of stuff, but then they also had a mechanical side of things where you could get your tractors fixed. And so I did work experience there, and they offered me a like apprenticeship.
Yeah.
And I was like, nah, I'm gonna join the army.
That's how we met, hey.
Yeah, and now look at us.
Well, you know, think about that. If we didn't do it and we didn't join the army, and you went and took that apprenticeship with the Vaders, then we definitely wouldn't be sitting here right now. You know?
Well, definitely not. I would still be in probably country South Australia, because I would have lived with my parents. I would have.
You wouldn't have made the move into Adelaide.
Maybe. I don't know, because I would have been a heavy diesel mechanic. If I'd gotten that job, I would have been like fixing tractors. Like I know it does cross.
You would have been way different to what you are now.
Yeah.
It's funny how life takes those turns, you know.
Yeah.
And you didn't take that apprenticeship.
Yeah.
Knowing you though, man, I don't think you would have stuck around at that apprenticeship for very long. And it's not because you don't have a good work ethic. It's just...
I reckon I would have at that age because I was so young. I was 16, so like...
Yeah, true.
Like, you know, it would have been like...
What, you were going to get out of school and just go do that? Yeah.
Yep. So mum gave me a couple options.
Mm.
So she said, if you want to go full-time army before I'm 18 and I can sign for myself, and she was going to sign for me, has to be through an apprenticeship. Like I have to join the army as an apprentice.
Yeah.
I can drop out of school, but I have to get an apprenticeship, or I can keep going through school and join the army reserves as whatever I want.
Okay.
And so I joined the army reserves.
As a rifleman.
Yes. Yes. Because I was like, yeah, that's the coolest job. Coolest.
Yeah, pop culture movies and stuff have so much they're so much to blame for stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? It's like, okay, some kid walks through the door right now and he's like, I'm really keen to join the army. Like, what's the first thing you would say to him?
Me? Oh.
Yeah. Don't.
I would say, hey, I've done it. Here's my experience. You have to make the choice for yourself, but consider these things and join the Air Force instead. Because it sounds way easier. Like, we had a guy that was labs with us, and he went to the GAN and all that sort of stuff. He was a gunner, all that. He transferred to become a plant operator in the Air Force, and he was telling us there was like the cruisiest gig. He's like, you're fucking idiots for staying here. We're like, nah, Army's way better. He's like, you're idiots.
Anyone that was in the Air Force and they're like, oh no, it's hard, is like, no, it isn't. You're a liar. You're lying to yourself. Your life is a lie. All right? Those are the three. That's the holy trinity of like talking to Air Force people. Just
while we say that, thank you for your service to all the Air Force.
I don't thank you. You didn't do shit. When I was at RAF Edinburgh, that's where we were posted, where I was posted when I lived in Adelaide. We'd be doing PT. You get to work straight away in the PT.
PT, physical training for those uneducated.
Often involved like a warm-up jog past like Afghans, which is like...
yeah, you know, fronters.
And it was just like, that's where they must have their musters or whatever. you
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
like,
yeah. The
Because
first parade.
that's
first
all
parade.
that first parade at bloody
At fronters.
at frontline.
Yeah.
Not
0700, yeah.
doing fuck all.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
nice.
you'd come back after PT on the way back, same route, still doing fuck all.
That's fair.
Deployment, yeah, you might get them. Field, fuck all. So you're not really in defence. That's my thing to you.
We thank all those Air Force listeners for supporting the channel. Please send all your hate towards Josh and not me.
Can you tell us what the deal is with why we have to wear these? Is it personal protection equipment?
That was going to remain a mystery, but it seems like you want to just ruin it.
All right, cut that out. We don't have to have that.
I was going to talk to you beforehand, but then you're just like, oh, no, just like, just wing it.
But I appreciate you bought these for my birthday.
Yes.
I did.
They are official.
They are official.
They are official. Pit
Vipers.
Yeah. They are actually counted as safety goggles because they have the curl part over the ears. So you can actually wear them as safety glasses.
Really?
Yeah, if you
so
want
what
to.
is this like graded for?
No, it's not ballistic, but it's safety
No, not
glasses.
ballistic, but you know, like if you were welding, you probably wouldn't want to weld with these.
Oh, I wouldn't want to weld, but
No,
you.
but like if
I
you
think
so,
maybe the blue ones.
Okay,
you could.
maybe you're using an angle grinder.
Yes.
Okay, you can.
Yeah.
There you go. Multi-purpose, looks great. Good for your health.
To be honest, I think they're too good to do that. So I wouldn't want to do it. Personally.
Fair enough. Yeah.
But yeah.
Fair enough. I can see they suit you. They probably don't suit me as much. But then again, Pit Vipers may argue, like the brand Pit Vipers, that they suit everyone.
They suit everyone. Yeah.
Pit Vipers.
Yeah. And
the
now
choice of Scout snipers.
Yeah. That'd actually be really bad for that because they're pretty reflective.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not a Scout sniper, so I wouldn't know. But I feel like that's not the best.
For the positive folk and the gripers.
Yeah, that's probably better. Yeah. Have you seen the flip up ones?
No, I haven't seen them.
They're like these, but they can flip up and then you can flip them back down.
How do they do that?
They've got like a mechanism here.
Oh, that's sick.
It's pretty cool.
I'd appreciate those ones.
I thought about them, but they're like way more expensive, and I was like, the novelty will probably wear off, and I feel like they'd probably break easier.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially in my car, they would.
Yeah. But we aren't actually sponsored by Pit Viper, but we will accept any and all money from Pit Viper if they give it to us. We'll put our bank details up later for them to send us money.
Look, it's a matter of time.
Yeah, it's a matter of time. Yeah. But I haven't actually introduced myself because...
Oh, yeah, sorry, John.
You went just down a tangent. I actually asked you a few questions. Probably my fault, if we're honest.
Tell us about you.
But my name is John. I am married as well. Josh and Hannah were actually at mine and my wife Tegan's wedding. They were the only ones. We eloped. It was very exciting.
Second best day of my life.
Yeah. It was probably my first day, but it's not a competition.
Yeah.
That meal was very good though.
That was a lovely meal.
The celebrant, she was late. That was funny. Good story.
She went to a different park.
Yeah, she went to a different park, ages away. Bit of fun.
Used to be in the Air Force.
She probably went to front us.
Just no organisational skills, no situational awareness.
None at all. So I grew up in country South Australia, as mentioned. Joined the army when I was 19. Moved up to Brisbane. Decided the army is worse than hell on earth. So decided to discharge and become a personal trainer because that's what you do when you get out of the army. You become a personal trainer.
It's one of the things you do. The other one is go to the mines.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, too. Yeah.
Or you become a cop.
Yes. Yep. I chose the fitness route, so I did that for 5 years.
So there's 3 streams. Those are the streams.
Yeah, those are the only streams. You really bucked the trend on that one, dog trainer. You're like,
yep,
you're the anomaly.
Yeah,
which is interesting. And then from there, I actually started working at the bank. I worked at one of the big 4 banks. Yep. I did that for 3 years and have gotten out now and am now just washing houses as something random and would like to... I also have my own personal brand as Basic Bogan, working on health and wealth because I have a background in both.
And you went to the Summer Nats this year as well.
I did go to Summer Nats.
Yeah, that was quite good for you.
Yeah, it was all right. Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, it was interesting. A lot of burnouts.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty funny. It was pretty wild. So, interestingly, we missed out on heaps of it because on Saturday specifically, because we'd gone down Thursday, Friday, and did heaps of stuff. Saturday, we were like, let's leave early, man. Well, me and my wife, she was there. She was my videographer. We're like, let's leave early because it's hot. We're both dehydrated. We've seen heaps of burnouts. Like, let's get out of here.
Yeah,
But
I don't
it
imagine
got
there'd be a lot of shade
wild.
there.
No, it's not. It got wild after that. So like on TikTok and stuff,
Mm.
it's it was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And yeah, I feel for Andy, but yeah, that's his.
Because you know the guy, one of the guys who owns
Yes,
Summernats and
yes.
organises it.
Yes, we met. Yeah, we met them in Nepal.
We did.
That was a very funny story. Pretty random, but yeah, I don't.
But can you put the photo up of like us at base camp and Andy's got his Summernats
Yes, we
shirt
can.
on,
Yes, we can.
and
absolutely.
I am 2 minutes from death.
Yeah. So here's an interesting thing, Josh. If you could go back in time and give yourself one piece of advice about trekking in base camp, what would it be?
Slowly, slowly. Actually, listen to the guide.
Surin.
Yeah. Every day when he says slowly, slowly, that means slowly, slowly. It means you don't have to be at the front. Okay.
Which you were every time.
Yeah, but that was like this built-in mechanism
Yeah,
of like the army pack march
Yep.
mentality where it's
Yep.
like, you know, it's like opposition reflex in dogs, like huskies. They feel that pull and they must go. It's like if I've got weight on my back, it's like get to that point, like from point A to point B in as least amount of time as possible. You know, it doesn't work like that at altitude because you will fuck up.
Oh yeah, you will.
Yep.
I've personally never seen someone so close to death that I'm aware of, other than Josh when I was with him there.
Well, that's the crazy thing though, isn't it? Is that you go to base camp and then you automatically, it's like it's a walk.
It was so casual from Gorikshep to base camp and back. Like the actual walk itself was
casual for you, man.
No, in regards to technical, it was just like a road. Like, or
what? It was a path on the side of a glacier.
Yeah, but it was easy in regards to like technical.
I suppose.
But what made it hard was the altitude.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I was a lot harder for me because I was considering you were falling. I thought you were about to die. So,
mate, it was honestly the worst I've ever felt in my life. Like nothing has come close to that feeling. And then, but you never anticipate that is going to happen to you because you're like, oh, I've, done a heap of physical activity in my life. I've been overseas, used a pack a lot, done some pretty strenuous sort of stuff. And then as soon as you get to that level, and remember we saw, what was his name? Andy's mate. He dropped off
Sam.
Sam. He slept in a hyperbaric chamber for like 2 months.
And he trained at a specific altitude training facility that was specific for that.
Yeah, and then he got sick at bloody...
Like day 2.
Yeah, where were we?
Namche
Bazaar.
Namche Bazaar.
Yeah, he got sick there.
Yeah, and then Andy locked him in the room.
And he threw up out the window.
That was funny.
He couldn't get out.
Because Andy locked him in. So the strange thing about this is, what did you expect when you went to Nepal in regards to like where we would be staying? Like, what did you think we were going to be staying in? Because I had an idea.
Yeah, talk about your idea. Because
I thought it was
really
literally going to be sheds. I thought it was going to be like super hardcore. We were going to be sleeping on like basically the side of the mountain. We were not. That was very nice.
Yeah, the tea houses are pretty cool.
They were amazing.
I'd recommend anybody that has any sort of desire to go to that part of the world, absolutely do it.
Do it.
You will not regret it at all. Just go slow.
Just go slow.
Don't be the hero.
So yeah, the tea houses were really
Unless
nice.
you're an Air Force person, then you should probably put yourself through more stress and like an uncomfortable situation than you've been accustomed to in your life, because you just don't know what it's like to do anything hard.
Or because they're Air Force, they earn more money because they're at a higher pay rate because, their job is supposedly better. They could pay someone to carry them.
Yeah, they actually could.
Yeah.
And they could carry you. No joke.
Yeah.
Remember we were like doing that acclimation walk in Namche Bazaar, and they were trying to build a resort thing on the top of a hill where we had to walk to, and they were lugging shit.
Yeah.
These people are like small, physiologically small.
Because we're both like 6 foot, and
I'm 5'11".
that's a shame.
Yeah.
I'm 6 foot.
Yep.
So they were like so much smaller than us, but they have these things where they have like a wooden like walking stick, and then they just have like a basket on their back, and we're like struggling hard, and they'll just be like...
Not even those ones, man. What about the people that were like like carrying the steel beams that were like
Oh,
5 meters long,
yeah.
and they're just bent over, and they've got like a good half hour's walk up this bloody narrow set of steps to the top,
And we
and
took
that's
about
all they
like
do
10
all day.
breaks. Yeah.
Yeah, and unbelievable.
Yeah, altitude's a funny thing because unless you've actually been there, and once you're back down where now at nothing, it's so incomparable because when you go up there, you're just like, this is literally wild.
Yeah, man. Like, for instance, so I felt the worst I'd ever felt, like at Gorakshep, and the helicopter came, and then the Dutch pilot, he's taken Mickey, Tommy, and myself up, and he's like, "I'm just over there. There's, that's, and look, you can see Everest pointing out." And I was like, I couldn't give a fuck. Could not give a single shit. And then we're like flying down through the valley, and it's all beautiful and stuff. And like anyone else would be like, wow, this is amazing.
Once in a lifetime experience.
Once in a lifetime experience, paid for by health insurance. And then
Mickey's specifically.
Mickey's,
not yours. Mickey paid for 3 helicopter rides.
And the funny thing about, I'll tell you that in a sec. But so we're flying down through the valley, get down to
Kathmandu.
We did get there eventually, but we stopped at Lukla Airfield.
Oh yeah,
because they had to switch helicopters. We had to get out of that one, and then I had a Nepalese man tell me that I had a weak heart, and that really hurt.
I never knew that.
He told me. He's like weak, and I was just like,
who was he? Was he like
he was just there. He was just a villager he was just there.
And I was like,
no, he wasn't a doctor.
He's a local.
If he was a doctor, then that's not good bedside manner. It sort of hurts thinking about it now because, like, they would just see all these people come and go and come and go, and it's like, you don't appreciate, the customs and traditions, which we did. I didn't appreciate paying $10 for a fucking egg, but it just got more expensive the higher you went for eggs.
Well, because I guess they've got
chickens live at all sorts of altitudes, John.
Maybe there's less chickens up there.
No, everywhere we went had a chook. You feed it good laying mesh or whatever it is.
Yep.
It'll give you eggs for days.
Yep. Yeah, I know.
Trust me, Mum had fucking a whole fridge of them. We only had 3 chooks.
Oh, I thought you meant a whole
She'd
fridge
write the
of
dates.
chooks. So that's where they live? In the fridge?
Yeah, it's a weird science experiment.
Yeah,
but anyways, so yeah, like we're there swapping helicopters, waiting for one to come down, and the guy he's like, "You're weak," and I was like, "Oh, okay, fuck you."
That is so harsh to be like to a random person that's like potentially almost died, like, and they're just like, "Yeah, you're weak."
Maybe in our culture, like it's we would be like, that's an insult, but maybe he's just expressing his truth, and he's like, maybe that's a part of you that you need to work on, and I took it wrong.
No, I think he just meant you had a weak heart, and he was calling you a bitch straight up. He was just calling you a straight up bitch, and that's fair because obviously you are. I kept going just for a little context. I kept going for another like 5 days, and went higher.
Yep.
And not that it's a competition, but if it was, I won.
You did win.
Yeah.
But I won in a way that I got to go to O'Flanagan's in Tamil, and Mickey, Tommy, and I.
Yeah, I did miss out on that.
Yeah, we got to have beers with the Nepalese
local chef. Yeah,
that was meant to be cooking our dinner, and then he came out and just got heinously drunk, and Mickey went into the kitchen and made his own dinner.
That's right. Yeah.
But the thing is, what we were talking about is Gorakshep feeling like death. Fly down through the valley, get to Lukla Airfield, change helicopters. Then 10 minutes, 15 minutes later, you're in Kathmandu. You stand on the ground at 1,200 meters above altitude, where you've just come from. It's about
5,000,
4,500, 5,000, and it's like you've never done it. It's like you had never even stepped foot up that high, and you feel like the biggest fuckwit in the world.
And it was instantaneous.
Instantaneous. Got out of the helicopter. Didn't have a headache. I felt like slightly dizzy and a little bit nauseous, but then like they took us to a hospital, and it was unlike any hospital I'd ever been to. It was like a really bad Airbnb. But we're there, and then they're like, no, you have to check into hospital. And I was like, I really don't want to. I think I'd much rather just go back and stay in the hotel. That's what Mickey, Tommy, and I wanted to do. And they're like, no, you've come down in a helicopter.
Yeah,
We
fair
need
enough.
to like make sure that you don't have a brain bleed or something.
Well, I guess that's probably for the best. Like
Yeah.
it probably was.
But it was actually fun because like Mickey and I shared a room together, and you know, we'd already become good mates by this point, obviously, as you know, and and it was just like a good 2 days of like jokes and fucking learning that he is a celebrity chef in Ireland.
He actually
That
is. Yeah.
that specialises. He was the UK's #1 celiac chef.
Yes.
Because he's a celiac himself.
He's
And so
actually,
he's got all these videos on YouTube.
and he's also a 5th degree black belt in judo. Yeah.
And he's, yeah.
And he went to the
Commonwealth Games.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
And massive, like he loves a drink, and he's hilarious on the piss.
They were Northern Irish though. I think they were both from around Belfast or something like that.
I'm not very
Or
good with
Derry.
I'm not good with geography.
Okay, so there were 2 other Irish people
Or
on that trip.
geology.
Okay, so Northern Ireland is still part of England technically.
Oh, okay.
And then you've got, so Northern Ireland, Republic of Ireland. And so the other 2 Irish people were from Dublin, and they were just a fucking pain in the ass.
Anton
Anton and his fucking
daughter.
Just fucking whinge.
Anton was very interesting because he was basically an alcoholic. And they say
he was an alcoholic fucking like gypsy person.
Yeah, but the biggest thing
Nothing
is
wrong
they say
with gypsies.
the biggest thing they say is about while you're walking or when you're trekking up there is you don't drink.
Yeah, you
because
don't
it
drink,
fucks
you
you
don't
up.
smoke.
But the interesting thing is they have so much alcohol there because I'm guessing they've bought it just in case, but then no one drinks it. And he had to have a beer.
Yeah, you hammered it.
Yeah, and they don't sell normal stubbies.
They're
All of their beers are big beers.
it's like it's long neck culture.
Yeah,
in Nepal.
You don't get
VB,
like
long neck.
Exactly, and
But it's called Gurkha.
or Everest beer.
Everest,
or the Everest
Gurkha
beer.
was the one that we had.
Gurkha was the best of them. So that's
Yeah.
just a little hot tip. The Everest ones are really freaking strong. They're like
Yeah.
they're not very tasty in my opinion as a beer, but yeah. And so he had to have this beer, and I think like I've never seen a man enjoy a beer so much in my life than I have seen him enjoy that beer.
What about Tommy when we first landed at Lukla?
And I
That was the most hungover I've ever been in my life.
yeah, this is
no question.
yeah,
Like not even an exaggeration.
absolutely not.
It was one of those things. Okay, so we may as well continue talking on about Everest. So
it's
anybody who's been knows.
Mm.
You tell them.
So it's a pretty wild story because, so what happened was to set the whole scene. It's quite a long story to give context. So it's not just like we're massive pissheads. But
Back
so
then though.
we kind of were. So we rock up. We get there. They're like, all right, we're leaving on the 3rd of September. We're like, yep, cool. We rock up like super early. All of that. We go to the airport at 6 a.m. And then we're there for 10 hours.
Yep.
And they just keep delaying the flight because Lukla, you've got to make sure that all the conditions are perfect because it's like landing into a mountain, basically.
Yeah,
Or
it's
the
the
side
most
of a
dangerous airfield in the world.
Yeah,
and
it's pretty wild.
yeah,
And so they kept just being like, no, can't do it. So we almost looked at getting a helicopter to fly us
well,
up
I did.
there.
I paid for us to get a helicopter. It cost $700.
Yes, but then we didn't end up taking that for some reason.
So then they gave me back $600.
Did they?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
You had to give them $100 as a deposit.
Oh, dirty dogs! I didn't know that. But
Oh,
so
and then later that night.
I'm about to get to that.
Okay.
I know the story.
Sorry.
I was there. I was there. I was scared. So we get back there. We go. We have some crispy chicken. I remember this crispy chicken.
Yeah.
And then Josh is like, "All right, I just got to go get some money out. No problem." We go to the ATM. We go to these shady as fuck ATMs. There's 3 of them, and
Which were being guarded by a security guard in a hotel foyer.
All right, we had a little disruption there. That's fine. Yeah. So then we're going to this. We have to. Josh is like, "I want to get some cash out." I'm like, "Yeah, cool. All right." Let's go to these ATMs. And these ATMs were like shady as. There was 3 of them. And so I remember Josh puts in his card. He types in 40,000 rupee, which was like $400 US. Presses enter. And we hear the like money thing. And then it gives Josh his card. And then it says, thank you for your withdrawal.
Yeah.
And then it just like goes back to the home screen. No money given. And so then...
And at that point,
I've never been so fearful
saw
for
red.
a ATM in my life.
Mate,
You started hitting it?
I still hold that, like, you know,
That was
Oasis
in
once said, don't look back in anger. But I'm a bit fucking angry.
Would you say there's a special part in hell for that ATM specifically?
Or whoever fucking organised that to do that.
Yeah.
Because I'm not convinced that ATM was just faulty, because the security guard tried to rush me on pretty quickly.
Because Josh started hitting it. Josh started getting very angry. Understandably, I was very scared because I've never seen Josh that angry. And it was like, we were like, what the hell? And so then we were trying to call the bank, but we couldn't because we were international. We used someone else's phone to try, like a Nepalese guy. He lent us his phone. We used up all of his minutes and stuff.
Yeah.
And then we were just like super disheartened. I remember it so well. We were like super pissed because we weren't balling. We still aren't, but we weren't balling then. We didn't, like, it was a big deal for us to travel to Nepal at that time. We didn't have heaps of cash.
Nah, not really. And it's like...
And $400 just gone.
Gone.
For US dollars, we were like $600 Australian, just gone.
Never so not only had they taken my $100 US deposit to book a helicopter that they full well knew wasn't going up. So missed out on that. $400 later, you put the two together, you're down $500 US. It's, you know, basic maths.
I might smell a conspiracy theory going on here, but, you know, that might, we'll probably circle
Nepalese
back to
government.
that. Yeah, we can circle back to that one.
Nepalese government.
And so then we go out and we're just like, we got to fly out tomorrow. Let's have one beer. We'll have one beer.
That's it. But we were walking back.
And we'd had
we were
our
a bit
beer.
dejected. We were walking back to where we were staying. And it was like one of those moments where God taps you on the shoulder and he's like, you're not done.
I remember it so well. It's like it was there. I was on your right.
Yes.
And I look left to you and you look right at me, and we had one foot on the steps. Yep. Of the hotel. Yep. And we go, one more. And then we went, and let me tell you, we had more than one.
And that's where we met Tommy. And then 5 or 6 hours later, we're in a meeting with the owner of a nightclub.
Yes.
About how we could potentially buy that nightclub off him because he thought it was serious.
And so Tommy told us to organise it. He went to the bathroom.
Yep.
So Josh organised it. They got super excited.
They were pretty pumped. And they took us up to like their VIP area and everything.
And then Andy left.
Tommy left.
Then Tommy left. And then Tommy left.
And we were there.
And then we had an argument about how you say cans.
That's right.
It's
Carnes.
Carnes. It's fucking Carnes.
Yeah, but that was way before we tried to buy a nightclub.
It was. That was a long night. And so then I remember I left early. I left at 12. And you're like, I'm going to kick on. And you did.
Because I found him again. I found Tommy.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh. And so I remember, oh man, I don't think I've ever passed out that quickly, but like I remember just like getting, like just undressing, throwing my clothes on the ground, just down to my jocks, fall asleep. I don't hear you come in. And then we were supposed to be downstairs at 5 a.m. At 5:17, we are like woken up by banging on the door.
Yeah.
Alarm clock's going off.
Fuck.
Phone's ringing. And then we get up and I open the door and they're like, are you still coming? And we're like, shit.
Yeah, we are. But the thing is as well, is we had been told at the airport the day that we were waiting. So this has all happened on the same day. And they're like, don't expect to go tomorrow because the weather is meant to be worse than it was today. And so they're like, you're still going to go to the airport. You're still going to wait because the window might open, but you're probably not going to go. And so we're like, fuck it, whatever. And then so we get into the little car. We get to the airport immediately.
No, that was like the craziest trip. I remember it so well because we got it like they were rushing us.
How do you remember anything?
Yeah, I don't know. Because I was hurt, man, because that was such a scary ass drive because we're in one of those bongo vans and they were hauling ass in these little, like a small Hiace, and old mate is flying because we're late, obviously, because we were super late. And then, you know, we get there, they're like rushing us through and all this sort of stuff. They're trying to get us through security. And then we rock up and then they're like, oh, you've got to like run onto the tarmac and get on another bus to drive us out to there to then get on the plane. And it was so crazy. And we're like, what the fuck? I think we were still drunk.
I could smell it you know, when you like sweat through your pores
Ooh.
and it's that. Like the only other time I've ever smelt it is when I was in the army and there was a guy. This is when I was at Puckalpunyal and we had to go and do first parade at 53 Battery, and there was a guy who was renowned pisshead, and you'd do PT in the morning and he would just be sweating.
Ooh.
This is in summer too,
Ooh.
and like you could smell him from like me to you away. I mean, that's not too far, but like you
Still,
could that
the
stink
smell.
of like, oh
Hot diggity.
fuck.
Yeah.
But that's what I could smell on myself.
Yeah. And
And-
so I've got a video and I'll
On the plane skis.
I'm fucked. So fucked.
put it up now of us on the plane. And I remember, and that plane was so loud.
Yeah, it was.
And then I remember you had your big Bose headphones on,
Yeah.
and you were blaring the music so loud that I could hear it over the plane. I was like, I don't know how you, like, your ears weren't just ringing.
Classic escapism, mate.
Yeah.
Done it all my life.
And we were right at the very front. And because it was such a small plane, I remember I was on the window side, and the little curtain opened, and I saw the pilots just there, and they had this giant map out, and I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? I'm still drunk. I'm like, what is going on? They don't know where they're going.
They have no idea where the fuck they are.
Oh my god! And then someone closed the curtain, and then we land. We land there, and then we get off, get our bags. We go to this hotel. It's like 7 a.m. or something like that.
Yeah, it was early.
And Tommy was on the flight with us. He'd also gotten shit-faced with us as well.
Yeah, so initially it was only meant to be John, myself, and a
Hannah.
Welsh girl called
Yeah.
Hannah.
Well, yeah.
You know,
Yes.
and that was our trekking group. But then they amalgamated the two trekking groups into the one because we'd missed out on our first day. We were always meant to be a day in front of them, so it didn't crowd up the tea houses and stuff.
But it
And
actually
thank
worked.
fuck that we did get
Yes,
on because,
yeah.
geez, it wouldn't have made for good conversation.
It would not have. No.
Yeah.
And it was good because we already knew Tommy. Then we met Mickey. And then we met Andy as well. And we're still good friends with all of them. And
Yep.
they're all very funny.
And we wouldn't have got
Rowan?
kicked out.
Rowan, we met Rowan. He's good.
Yeah, Rowan's a good guy. Yeah.
His parents, not so much.
Fucking judge me.
Wasn't he a cop, the dad? He was a
Oh,
high
he was.
cop.
Yeah, I think he was something foolish.
Mum was a teacher or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, and so then we meet up with Tommy again. No, yeah, with Tommy again. And Tommy was on the flight with us, and he's like, "Oh, where's Mickey, his traveling friend?" And they're like, "Oh, he didn't get on the first plane." He's like, "Oh, okay. Well, get me a fucking room because I'm hungover." And so they like go organize him a room, and they're like, "Do you want breakfast?" to us and Hannah. And we're like, "Oh yeah." I remember I was like, "Yeah, whatever, man. I'll just give me eggs and bacon or whatever." And then they bring it out, and then Tommy goes and buys 3 beers and gives them to us.
Oh.
And I don't know why, but I cracked it,
Yeah.
thinking like, oh yeah, I smelt it. Oh man, I felt so sick.
Oof.
And then we go and actually do it, and I remember every step was painful
Oh yeah.
because every time I lifted up my foot, I was only on one foot, to take a step, I was like shaking. And then we get halfway up, and I've got my back, and I vomit everywhere. And then they're like, "Are you okay?"
Mate, it was 20 minutes in.
Was it? I can't
Yeah,
remember.
it was 20 minutes
I
in.
just vomited, and they're like, "Drink some water." So I like just sculled all this water, and I just vomited that all. And then there's like this. There was a family, so like Rowan and his parents. There's Anton and his daughter. There's Tommy, Mickey, and Andy, and they're all just looking at. And there's that old
Sam was there too.
Sam and the Indian doctor, and they're just all looking at us like,
Man, he knew that Indian doctor from Chicago.
he'd done heaps of tracks.
And he warned me. He said, "You're moving too fast." And I was like,
Did he
"Fuck,
just say that
he
to you?
did. He
Yeah,
did. He
of
told
course
me.
he did.
He told me after the second day. He's like, you're going too quick. And then he was trying to explain to me like body composition and stuff, and how, you know, because I was a denser human, that I would need more oxygen, and it just didn't make sense to me. It's like, should have listened to the doctor who had also trekked Tibet.
Yeah, he'd done a heap.
He'd done heaps of it.
But he was way older than that. He's like 60.
Yeah, but he also had that real thick puffer jacket on, even down in the green zone.
He wore it everywhere, and so when
Everywhere.
we'd stop, he'd be like drenched in
But
sweat.
he did it so he knew that he couldn't overheat, so he was too hot. I asked him about it, and he's like, "Well, I'll know because like my body temperature will get to a point where he's like, I start to feel it more, and then I just slow down. It was like a brake system where I was just like,
That's really clever.
yeah, he's obviously done it before,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and he's tried to give me a chop out, and I was just like, what the fuck do you know, man?
Man, I reckon if he'd probably put it in easier for you to understand,
How much easier did it need to be?
maybe in like football terms. Because if he'd used car terms, you wouldn't have known it. If he said
He
it,
didn't. He just said you need to slow down. It doesn't get much more plain and simple than that.
you know that scene from, what's that movie with Zach Galifianakis and Robert Downey Jr.? Due Date? Due Date?
Yeah.
You know, he's like, all right, do a speech right now. It's halftime at the NFL Grand Final or at that Super Bowl, and you need to pump up your team.
I've never seen it.
Oh, man.
I know the name of the movie, though.
You should watch that. But there's this scene where Zach Galifianakis is trying to do that, and I feel like that's what he should have done to you, and it may have helped. Like a, quarter time, half time sort of speech.
Yep.
Like, done really well in the first half, but, the second half, we've got to maybe slow it down a bit.
Yeah, tempo football.
Yeah. See, I told you. If you
retain possession.
Yep.
Don't make mistakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he didn't. He spoke to you like a doctor, so then you were like...
Mate, anybody would be able to understand that. It was just my ego was like, oh, fuck you.
Do you know the funniest thing? The reason I wasn't going any faster was because I was forever talking, and I couldn't go any faster.
Yeah.
I was just talking to anyone and everyone that would listen. Mainly Anton, because he was the only one that would talk to me, and I would talk to him.
Yeah, and then we ended up stealing his magnets.
Yeah. Like a lot of them.
I'm still chasing him. I'm so disappointed in you.
We're leaving. He was an angry man. He was an angry man, Anton.
Yeah, but for someone who claimed to be like a mad hippie, like he complained about everything.
I guess
everything.
I guess he had nothing else going on. I remember because I was a PT then as well, and he was like, "Oh yeah, like, talking about health and stuff." And he's like, "What about drinking?" I'm like, "Yeah, this." And he probably, I'm like, "How much do you drink per night?" He's like, "Probably like 6 pints." I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
I'm like, if you reduced it a little bit, like.
And he had that. His skin was that like red.
Yeah. He was, and he's like, I'm like, maybe if you reduce it a bit, it would help. Like, not cut it out completely, like wean yourself down. And then he's like, so like 5. I'm like, you can start at 5.
He's like, no. So instead of me having the 6 points, I have 10 schooners instead.
Yeah, he could have done that. But yeah, so
he's trying to like bargain his alcoholism.
Yeah, I feel like he would.
It, yeah.
But I just don't know how, like, I don't know how you could do that every night, but I don't know how you could afford to do it every night.
Well, it just becomes a habit. My dad was an alcoholic all my life. He's no longer an alcoholic, but, I talk to him now about it, and he's like, it was just a thing that I did because it was a habit, and the whole thing of, like, purchasing the beer is the dopamine hit, and then drinking the beers obviously is the dopamine hit, and it's like coping mechanisms for a lot of people. It's not a healthy one, and it's not an easy one to break, but a lot of people that I have met that have had problems with alcohol in the past, myself being one of them, throughout my life, once you understand not how easy it can be not to drink, but like how much better you can feel, how much better you can deal with stresses and other things that inadvertently are going to come to you no matter what, whether you are drinking or whether you aren't. It's just easier to do things and get on with life when you're not drinking. But for so many people, that's just how it is.
Yeah, it's interesting, especially in Australian culture specifically.
Australian culture has a massive part to play in why people binge drink and are pissheads and make excuses for the reasons why they drink. And it's like, no, it's not normal to smash piss all the time. It's not normal to have a few beers every night. That's not normal.
Yeah.
That's still an addiction. It's just that your addiction is a little bit different. Like, everybody's got their addictions, John. Like, pick your poison. Doesn't matter what it is, like online shopping. Because, online shopping,
coffee.
Drugs,
Oh,
coffee,
yeah.
Healthy ones like that can become unhealthy, like jiu-jitsu, for instance. Everyone I talk to about jiu-jitsu, because I don't do it, they're like, that's all they talk about, and then if you don't have balance and you let it get too far, then it ruins relationships, like can ruin your body and stuff like that. If you don't balance things out. But everybody's got their own poison. It's just that alcohol in Australia, like you said, because of the culture, the way that we're brought up, the way it's advertised all the time, you know, it shouldn't be allowed to be advertised, just like fucking betting agencies.
Yeah, that's
Gambling is the new one.
Man, you know that working in the bank.
It disgusts me that this is on here, man.
Yeah, that's one
Like,
thing.
I love football,
yeah,
but like, you know, I hate that that's on there.
yeah. I hate when they. I remember watching like the rugby league, and they always stop and they're just like, you know, any sort of thing, and they're like, this is brought to you by whatever.
Brought to you by fucking Johnny's 360 betting company.
And then right at the very end, they're just like, gamble responsibly. And you're just like, what?
Yeah.
They
only put that in there is because the requirement is that they do put it in there.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know,
they're like, this is brought to you by sports betting. You're just like, what the hell?
And there's new betting agencies and stuff every year, and it's like, you know, it's toxic, mate. It's fucking horrible. If there was a button I could push right now that would eliminate gambling altogether, I'd press it, and I wouldn't apologize to anyone. That's it. I'd be like, anybody that's addicted to gambling, oh, whoop, gone. Go get a dog.
I wonder what they'd get into after that.
Probably something. Oh, it might help some people.
Yeah, probably.
You know, but like, you know, gambling is just this insidious, you know, it's an insidious, horrible fucking thing. And people can say like, oh yeah, I've got it under control, and like I only do $5 bets, but you're doing it every weekend nonetheless.
Man, I remember seeing this kid. He would have been 20 when I was working at the bank. I was trying to sort something out, and I was going through his bank account statements to try and find a specific payment. And it tells you what date it was, and I was checking the calendar, and I was like, that was a Saturday. And all I saw was like $20, $20, $40, $20, $40 for like sports bet.
Yeah.
All going out.
Yep.
You know what I didn't see? Nothing coming back in.
No, that's it.
So he had like...
And gamblers, they'll always...
10 or 12 transactions of all 20,
out.
30... Yeah, all out.
Chasing his losses, man.
Yeah.
And they'll always tell you their wins, their big wins, mate. I used to live with a guy I was in the army with him. And there were times where he'd be like, oh, I've just got like I'm going into my room. I've got like a computer meeting. And I'm like, that's cool. I know you're not actually talking to anyone. But then like one day I walked in there and opened the door and he's watching like horse racing on his computer. And he got so angry that he'd been caught It's like a guilty pleasure thing. You know, but he would lose hundreds, thousands of dollars some weeks. Do you know what I mean? But then you'd find out like when he'd won because he'd let you know.
Yeah.
You know, but you don't know about the ones that he's lost. And that's, you know, that's ingrained into our culture as well. You know, it's, there's a lot about how we grew up and how it's going to be worse for our kids that needs to change. It's like, I remember a time as well, John, like when I was coaching football back when I was like 25, 26.
Is this before or after the bus?
Which bus?
The Oz Kick bus.
Yeah. That was when I was 18.
Okay.
We'll talk about that another time. Or we won't. But yeah, the kids...
I want to.
Yeah, you'll talk about it. I won't be here. The kids in the stretching circle... like pre or post training, talking about the odds of the football. These kids are 15, 16.
Really?
Yeah, they're like, you know, Brisbane's $2.40 this week. And it's like, mate, why does that factor into what you're saying?
Man.
Because it's everywhere, bro.
I don't know when I started to think about...
And so this shirt will never be worn again, even though I love football and I love this club, but...
Yeah, fair enough.
I'm not going to wear a shirt that has a bet, so...
It's hard these days.
So yeah.
It's hard these days to not, but I can't think of a time when I like thought about gambling like that. Like you said, they're talking about football. Like I remember talking about sport and all of that, and football specifically when I was younger. But I wouldn't be talking about the odds. I'd be like, oh, I hope the Adelaide Crows win. You know, and
yeah,
like,
exactly.
Oh, yeah, and you'd be talking about players.
Talking about players, like injuries,
you
know, who's come into the side.
Yeah. And, you know, how much you hate Port Adelaide because they're the worst. And that's basically
well, I used to live in Port Adelaide. Like I used
Did you support Port Adelaide, pal?
No, I didn't.
That's good. We can still be friends.
Not ever.
Because they are my mortal enemy.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I remember like going to the pub when I was 18 and going into the TAB room or the pokies room and being like, this looks terrible. This
Yeah.
looks disgusting.
It's a graveyard. People waiting to die.
And this was at a country town as well. And I was like,
Yep.
this is terrible. What are people doing?
Well,
And I was like just smash and piss. So it's not like I'm this on the moral high horse, but
yeah, 100%. I get what you're saying, man.
it's
But
weird.
it's like
I've never
that is
understood it personally.
it's such a big thing in our culture. Like pub culture is huge,
Mm-hmm.
not only in Australia, in England
Mhm.
and stuff like that. And people,
Mhm.
you know, betting has been around in many different cultures for a very long time.
Mm.
It's just that, you know, and it's like not a cultural thing, a generational thing as well.
Mm.
It's like there's got to be some statistic where it's like if you grew up around a parent that gambled, you're X amount of times more likely to be
Surely,
addicted to it later on.
Yeah, it'd have
You
to
know,
be.
but it doesn't make it all right.
Mm.
You know, it's one of the things, and I'm so sad that I didn't even think about it. Wearing this shirt, you know, with whoever the fuck Daffabet are,
Mm.
like Daffabet can go to hell.
Mm.
You know, I hate it so much.
Yeah, it's fair. Yeah, I'm not a big fan either.
You know, but everybody's like, that's the beauty of, you know, the society that we live in, is that people have the choice and the freedom to make these decisions where you either do gamble or you don't gamble. But what pisses me off is that they're able to advertise, say the AFL completely dominated and bought out by betting agencies, the NRL as well, whatever
Mhm.
you want to choose.
Yeah.
You know, and they know that they have a young audience, a grassroots audience
Mm-hmm.
that idolize these players, you know, that are put on a pedestal
Mm-hmm.
as gods, you know, and then they see these players, not all of them, but some of them are endorsing these things. Do you know what I mean? Like, and going and, you know, do sports bet fucking blah, 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 you know, and then it just becomes part of the background for them. It's like these betting agencies are grooming impressionable children, and they know how impressionable adults are as well.
Yeah.
They know that, like, people go to work and they're dissatisfied with their life, and people are looking for excitement, and it's
And
an
they
easy
always
thing
like
to
offer
do.
something as well.
Yeah,
Like
sign up in, here's a $250 bet.
Yeah.
You know, but you've got to deposit $250.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there's 200, and that average person is like, well, I've got $500 to spend, and then it's boop,
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah.
You know, it's a fucking insidious,
Mm.
horrible, disgusting industry. And if I could press the button to eliminate all of it, I fucking would.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm passionate about it.
I
And
can
can
very
you
much
blur
tell.
that out?
I-
You could figure a way to blur that
Yeah,
out.
yeah, I can.
Yeah, fuck them.
Before now or like through the whole thing? Just
The
after
whole thing.
Okay.
The whole thing.
Only once you've gotten angry about it.
No, because then people can still see it. I'll never wear this shirt again. Yeah.
And I guess maybe to circle back and tie this all in, what I want to do, and hopefully this is what you want to do as well, or we can just kick you off and it can just be my show, is with this podcast is to try and share our experiences, because although I don't think we are in any way special, we do have a unique story to tell.
100%. Everyone's got a story to tell, man.
Yeah,
Like it's,
I think that,
and
yeah.
some of the people that you walk past on the street and, you know, may look uninspiring. They don't look like anything. They may have the most interesting story that you've ever heard.
Mm.
And that's the truth of the matter.
Mm.
Is like, you don't know. Everybody's got a story to tell.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's what I want to try and do with this podcast, with each other, because like half the stuff that you've said today, I was there and I didn't even know half that stuff. So you can obviously see how much attention I
Which
pay.
point? Which part?
Well, like in Nepal, I didn't know half those things.
I can't even remember the things I was talking
yeah,
about.
but it doesn't matter.
I'm so riled up.
But yeah, so yeah, that's the aim of the podcast. That's what we're trying to do here, and hopefully we'll get guests as well in to talk about their stories, which will be cool as well.
One at a time, because I've only got another microphone.
Yeah, and our couch is only so big.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's perfect spot for one more person.
Yeah.
You know,
It'd probably feel pretty intimidating if there was someone in between us, and we're just talking.
we need an L couch then.
Yeah, we could look at doing that.
Later on, you start from humble beginnings and you build an empire. Julius Caesar said that.
Was anyone there?
Paraphrasing, but
Was anyone there to confirm it?
no.
Because how do we know?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's a lot of time.
Could you imagine if like all of that shit was just made up? You know, because they're like, there's no way people are gonna fucking know. It's like we'll just draw stuff in a book. I'm not saying that is what.
But imagine if it
But
was.
imagine if it was.
But didn't they do that sort of stuff like dragons? Like they made that shit up. There's no dragons.
Well, yeah, I'm. That's interesting, man.
I
Because
don't
like where
know.
there's like unless they're all in the Smithsonian, like all of the dragon fossils, you know,
But isn't that open to the public?
nope.
Oh.
They have heaps of stuff in there that the Smithsonian Museum is, but they have a heap of stuff. You haven't seen what's his name?
You're talking about Transformers?
No, dude.
You sure not Transformers?
Transformers.
They go to the Smithsonian, don't they?
Do they? I don't know.
Because one of the Transformers is in there.
Is the Smithsonian.
No, he's a jet in the Smithsonian.
Is he?
Well, I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I
I'll
haven't
have
seen
to
it
watch
in
it, man.
ages.
I don't watch movies like that.
Yeah. Well, what are you talking about then? You're talking about a movie.
What's his name? He has a hat. Oh. That doesn't help.
Oh,
What's his name, bro? Harrison Ford.
Indiana Jones.
That's it. Indiana Jones.
He does have a hat.
Kalima.
And a satchel. Do you know, I remember as a kid seeing, which is the one where they pull out old mate's heart?
Indiana Jones.
Temple of Doom.
Temple of Doom.
Temple of Doom.
Yeah.
I remember seeing
And they
it.
like drop him into the lava in that thing, and I'm like, how the fuck did that frame not get fucked up?
I remember.
That's what I thought about as a kid.
Yeah, but that doesn't just make really good sense because it's fine. Like he's burnt, but nothing else is. That's a real blunder on their behalf.
Yeah.
But I remember.
And then it also reminds me of the episode of The Simpsons I saw the other day, and I'd seen time and time and time again.
Yeah.
Where they have to do the Japanese game show, and they have to get the tickets home to America from the middle of the volcano, and it's actually just the orange juice with wasabi in it.
It burns. It burns. Yes, that's a good episode. I like that one.
Yeah.
But then I remember watching that as a kid, and that scene specifically scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, it was horrible,
they pulled out old mate's heart,
and it's still beating.
Yeah, and then I think it's that one as well. They like have that monkey, and they open the skull,
and they're eating the brains.
Yeah,
I was eating something that Mum had made at that point in time, and I'm pretty sure it was like pasta.
I was gonna say some sort of noodles or pasta, or spaghetti. That'd be hilarious.
Yeah, and it just put me off it for so long.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It took so much like mental counter conditioning to be like, this isn't monkey brain.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And then it's still, the thing is still there. Like,
yeah,
it could be.
That's a cool memory. Yeah, that's a funny thing.
It's funny when you're a kid and the things that you remember. And I talk to Hannah about this all the time. She's like, you have so many memories of a kid, and it's like, well, so many of them are traumatic. Like,
yeah, you're like, I'm not forgetting that in a hurry. Wish I could. When I go to sleep at night, that's just gonna be replaying for the rest of my life. And you're like, that's why I'm an alcoholic. That's why I gamble so much. To try and forget. Try and forget, Hannah. Try and forget.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, so...
Should we tie it up or what?
Yeah, I think we should.
So we haven't really spoken about anything in general. It's just more, a meet and greet.
Yeah, I think
feels like a really good job interview. Feels like the best job interview I've ever had with you.
There is no job, though. So much like Casting Couch, there is a lounge, but there's no job. Do you think that they really think that there is a job, or do you think they know? Like by now, surely...
What are you talking about?
Casting Couch.
What is that?
You don't know what that is?
Nope.
There's lies. It's lies. It's lies. I'm saying now that I reckon they know. They know what's up. Those chicks know what's up.
Yeah, probably. Unfortunately.
Don't they have an internet connection? They could Google that shit.
Yeah.
I've seen that lounge many times.
In many different forms.
Yeah.
In many different channels.
But yes.
That's another insidious thing.
Yeah.
Is that industry. People get addicted to that. Horrible shit.
Yes.
On
that fine note of pornography.
Look at me, like my fucking moral stick. I need my... I'm going to be the worst old man in history, man.
Well,
You just know.
you're already 32 and you're pretty angry. So yeah.
33. 33.
Oh yeah, you have turned 33.
Yeah, you
sorry,
forgot
sorry,
my
mate.
birthday.
I bought you those fucking sunglasses. You've got them on your face. My wife bought you a dad's joke book.
That's true. Oh, that's one of the things that we're going to do.
Yeah, yeah.
I've been practicing. I've been really practicing hard.
That's good. That's good.
But it's more just
You've
like
got the angry part
pun-related
down.
stuff. Yeah, I got the angry. I don't want to be an angry dad. My dad wasn't an angry man. Like, my mum could be angry. I was fearful of mum a lot. I love her to bits. She's no longer with us. But when dad came to pick me up from school, it was like, relief. Not going to get grilled about, did I get in trouble today? You know?
Yeah, my hardest part with that was mum was a teacher and mum never believed me.
And she was at your school?
No,
No, that's fortunate.
she would come a few days and do like relief work.
But that's shit. If she didn't believe you,
I lied a lot.
oh, okay.
But
Did
like,
you get in trouble?
every day?
Really?
Every day.
Man, I was too afraid to get in trouble.
From 5 to maybe like 15 is like a good solid 10 years before I pulled my head in.
Man,
And still then, like it was.
man
Yeah.
I got one of my earliest memories of year one at school was I remember we had those scrapbooks, and the thing was it was like you had to put you had to cut it out first. It was pictures of trumpets. And then it was like 1, 2, 3, 4,
That's
5.
super intricate, yeah.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squares. So you didn't cut the trumpet out. It was
Oh, thank God, because I was like, that's hard.
Trumpet picture in a rectangle. All right, and you had to correspond 1, so 1 trumpet, 2 trumpets. But my thing,
yes,
my
I get it.
OCD as a child, I was like, how many trumpets do I have? And it added up to it like a certain amount, and I was like, I want them all to look like a skyscraper building. And then Mrs. Muir came over, and she was like, she didn't swear, but in my mind, she's like, no, you fucking dumb cunt. That's not how you do it.
Imagine
And then
if she
I
did,
missed
'cause that
out
would
on
be-
lunch because she sat down and made me like take it out. And I'm like, oh yeah, I get it. Like, you're making the kid rectify their mistake. But I was like so anxious about it because I was like, fuck, mum's just going to have this telepathic ability to know that I fucked up. And, you know, she's going to grill me about it. And I couldn't hide the fact that had happened when she came to pick me up because I was like, you know, pretty anxious and stuff like that. And then, yeah, I got in trouble.
That sounds
Different parenting methods.
Yeah, yeah. Mum was never happy when she figured out I got in trouble.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is another thing we'll talk about. It's like I'm not afraid to talk about it, man. Like how we like love my parents to death, gave me everything. But there's a reason why I have the memories that I have. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
I don't
me
want to
too.
be that, and that's my fear. My biggest fear as a parent is like I don't want to, you know. Oh, that's done that again.
No, that's because it's.
Oh. But anyways, yeah, I don't want to make the same mistakes.
It has stopped, yeah. I thought it hadn't.
That's all right.
All good.
All good.
Yeah.
We've still got heaps of stuff anyway.
Yeah, and we got. Hey,
That was good.
we'll leave it there.
Signing off. Hopefully, we'll see you again.
Be the change. Be the change.
Be the
Josh.
change you want to see in the world. And I'll try to.